My name is Heather Fordham. I am with Compass. I'm the team lead for New Heights Group and recently starting the founder CEO journey for Hestia Global Services.
Amazing. And yeah, who do you work with?
So primarily my areas of service are inner loop, so inside of the 610 loop, more urban. And then I also have a very large presence in the suburban market, so Cypress, Woodlands, Katy, and even into Sugar Land.
Amazing. So I've got some questions.
Oh, wonderful.
I would love to know before we start digging in. Tell me a little about your story. Like, how did you get started? Take me back as far as you want to.
I mean, to start at the beginning, I remember being probably about 8 or 9 years old, looking at the Sunday Chronicle, looking at the home section, and just looking at the floor plans and the houses that they were showcasing and wondering, like, well, what families live there and who are they? And I think that was my very earliest memories of just loving real estate and what real estate and homes are about.
And then take me from there. Like, how did you actually get into it?
So actually, one of my best friends from that same age, she was managing a multifamily community, and I was coming in out of insurance. Yes, I was coming out of the insurance industry. And she was like, you would be really great. You love people. You love talking. Why don't you come be a leasing agent? I'm like, sure. Why not? I was hanging out up there anyway. And started there, and that was it. That was the end. That was when I was 25. So
oh, wow. And
just
you're
a few
like
years
28
ago.
now.
Yeah, just a few years ago. Now, that was about 20 years ago, over 20, 22 years ago now.
Wow.
That I started that. But I worked my way up from leasing to assistant manager. And then things got really interesting because that property went up for sale. And I was identified as a person that they wanted to give tours to prospective buyers of the community. So we're talking like a $40 million purchase, and I'm giving the tours.
Oh, wow.
Selling the community. But I wasn't a commercial real estate person. That was a whole separate team. I was just the on-site person that was giving the introduction. So once I started doing that, they actually bought the property, and that company that acquired that property basically said, we want her to come along with us. And so they put me on a different property, and I started doing mergers and acquisitions with that company where they would just move me from property to property as they were wanting to sell them. So it took me into a completely different area of real estate, and I've just been going ever since.
Isn't that crazy how like life works like that, right?
It's amazing. I could give you so many stories that have guided me on this path of real estate that would blow your mind. That's why I just know this is what I'm supposed to be doing with my life.
And it's also why when I asked you, so what's a typical day like right when you came in, you're like, there is no typical day.
There is no typical day, and I love it. That is, you have to love the spontaneity of the chaos and thriving in that and bringing peace and joy to so many people through the chaos.
And knowing that there's so much opportunity, you just don't know when it's going to drop. So you got to be ready for it.
Yeah, opportunity definitely falls in your lap in different places, but you also have to be, astute to see it.
Good point.
A lot of agents right now, it's kind of interesting. Our entire industry is at an inflection point, much like a lot of industries. And I think a lot of people are still looking that I can keep doing what I was doing before. I'm an agent. Human beings are always going to be required in any real estate transaction. Well, that may be true to a certain level and degree, but how you stay relevant and how you continue to bring your service to that process should change to meet the moment.
Yeah, but it's hard if that's not something that you're used to, right? Like if that's not like how you were programmed or...
There's a book called Who Moved My Cheese, and it's all about being willing to adapt and to recognize the world for what it is, not what you want it to be, and to adjust accordingly. So,
when did you read that book in your career?
I never read it. I just kind of live it. My husband told me about it.
Notes.
Yeah, no, my husband told me about it, and he was just like, you're really good at this because you've never read this book. And I was like, no. Yeah. I mean, because I'm always looking for ways to be of more service. Right now, I'm actually going through a growth phase in my career. So I don't want to just be seen as a transactional real estate professional. I am moving myself into more of an advisor who specializes in real estate capacity. So
That's
what I'm
beautiful. We're
doing.
going to get into that too.
Oh, yay.
So you work primarily in Houston area.
I do. I would say the state of Texas
State of Texas. Okay.
is my area. I know a lot of agents are going to take issue with that because you have to have geographical competence before you can say that. But I also have a lot of confidence in myself that if I'm going to take on a responsibility in an area, I will become an expert in that area. So
Beforehand, that's right. Like,
absolutely.
the opportunity comes, you'll prepare for it. What do you see personally from most buyers wouldn't notice from just like the headlines alone? Because there's a lot of information where people are sharing on social, but like, what are you noticing?
What do you mean?
So like, what patterns are you personally seeing in terms of the market?
Oh, okay. So the market's going to be quite interesting coming into 2026. We are coming out of the Great Freeze, the kind of lock-in. Everybody was staying where they were because their interest rates were really low and no one wanted to give that up. Baby boomers were sitting on all of the inventory because one, they didn't want to take on a high interest rate and the inventory was so low that they couldn't really find what they wanted to move to anyway. So it was kind of like a double lock-in. People are coming out of that now. And the interest rates are coming down. We're probably predicting high fives, low sixes this year. That will free up a lot of people to get off the fence. That will open up more inventory opportunities. Let's see here. And also, I think people are just starting to realize to move where the job opportunities are. And Texas is very pro-business as a state. Plus, we don't have state income tax, which makes us very attractive to people outside of Texas to come here and start new businesses. But also, our climate is really good for the most part. We haven't really been here for a summer yet, but it is good. It's pretty mild. But yeah, I mean, people are starting to wake up. So the inventory is going to balance out. The pricing is going to balance out. I think everything is just coming into balance this year is what I would say. It's not going to be a seller's market. It's not going to be a buyer's market, but it will be healthy.
I've heard a lot of people, like you mentioned, a lot of people want, myself included, want to move to Texas because of so many different reasons. But like Texas is one of the top, I think top 3 or something states to move to.
It is.
Mass.
It is. And it's interesting because I think everybody brings their own idea of what Texas is. And I think when they get here, they're pleasantly surprised. Like, we are an extremely diverse state. You have what is put out in the ecosystem of information, but the people and the warmth and just the overall kind of working together for the better is kind of our thing. We're very independent-minded people, but we're very community-focused.
That's interesting you say that because growing up, I used to say I would never move to Texas.
Really?
I thought of Texas as a cowboys, good old boys club, like no diversity. And then when I came to visit, I was like, oh my goodness, look at all this diversity here.
Yeah, yeah. And for me, it's especially a point of pride because as a Houstonian, as a Texan, multiple generation Texan, there's nothing like it. There really isn't. I mean, to grow up in a city that is an international magnet, first it was oil and gas, then it became healthcare, now it's moving into IT and venture capital, but it just attracts talent from all over the world. And I got to grow up in that. So it is its own kind of bubble of just meeting people, understanding different cultures, and getting to appreciate it without having to leave my city.
Almost sounds like the state of Texas read the whole Who Moved My Cheese book and was able to continuously.
Well, Houston in particular has managed to do that. That's why, I mean, we call ourselves H-Town. It used to be for our hustle. You know, we were always like movers and shakers, always looking for that next opportunity, what's around the corner. But even during the housing downturn during 2008, like the Great Recession, Houston outperformed the national average. Houston has a unique ability to always constantly be reinventing itself in a way that the city grows through downturns and through economic issues. We always seem to come out on top.
And that's because of the people that live there. Yeah.
I absolutely believe it's because of the people.
Yeah. I love that. So just to kind of a generic question a little bit, what's something that you feel about the Houston real estate market that outsiders almost always misunderstand?
Okay. Do not let the fact that we don't have zoning scare you. Do not come here expecting cookie cutter kind of pristine. We are not Naples, Florida. We are not California. We have a certain kind of, every neighborhood has its own little vibe that are quite distinct. If you like historic, great, the Heights is going to be your area. If you like something that's a little bit more kind of suburban urban feel, Westview might be your spot. For our LGBTQ plus community, Montrose is going to be absolutely where you're going to love to live. But everything has everything. No one feels out of place anywhere. If you want suburban, Katy, Cypress, Woodlands, Clear Lake, Sugarland Lake, there is a spot for you. You need to get with an agent and actually talk about your lifestyle and what you want from your community and how you live in your space to find the right community for you.
That is so true. It was funny when I moved out here, just checking out the areas. I'm Middle Eastern. My daughter was like, "Oh my gosh, Mom, look, this is like Habibi Corner." It's like,
I mean,
so
but that's
much
just
diversity.
it. It's great that you can come in and find your community and still be exposed to all other types of community and everyone feel really happy to live and coexist around one another. It's amazing.
Food diversity is amazing too.
It's one of our big things.
When clients ask you, is now a good time to buy or sell in Houston? How do you actually answer that beyond the generic advice?
Absolutely. So really the most important thing is, what is your plan individually? You cannot necessarily plan your life around the economic winds because otherwise you'll never do anything. So what you can do, and what I generally recommend for my clients to do, we sit down, we do a pretty comprehensive roadmap of what it is that they're looking to accomplish in the immediate and for the next 3, 5, 7 years. And then we build a plan around that and then try to take advantage of whatever the environment is at the time. So it really just depends on you. If now you're like, well, I would like to be at this price point, but interest rates aren't really working with you, so they've limited your buying power, well, then we need to save up more money to make that a non-factor. There's always a way to work around the timing per se. That's about it. I mean, I don't really hedge on what's happening outside. If you need to buy a house, you've had a baby, real estate never stops. Life never stops. You just have to make the best decisions and position yourself the best you can. And real estate's no different.
Very customized.
Always.
Each person's situation. Speaking of, you don't like to give, it doesn't matter kind of what the market is doing necessarily. I would love to know, what do you think the market's going to look like in the next 12 to 24 months, especially for like the inner loop neighborhoods like the Heights? I know you said that you feel like it's going to be a little more balanced, but do you have anything else that you would like to look into your genie, or what is that called?
My crystal ball.
The crystal ball, yes.
So the next 12 to 24 months, the Heights in particular, like any of those inner loop kind of communities, they do not operate within outside factors, right? It's so desirable. People are always going to want to live there. People are going to be moving, their jobs are going to transfer, they're going to have kids, they're going to outgrow their space. So there's always going to be a certain amount of turnover, but it has reached its capacity. The Heights is the Heights. There's no building more, right? So if you want to be in the Heights proper, you're going to have to pay to play. So bring your money, bring your checkbook. And, there's just limited inventory for that. And the people that want to move or the people that want to come in and buy, I would say be a little bit open. There are some emerging communities outside of the Heights. So you've got Shady Acres, you've got Independence Heights, Garden Oaks, Oak Forest, Shepherd Park. Like, there are some other really, really great neighborhoods that actually bring better price points, but have the same proximity to the Heights if you're willing to make that investment for the long term, which is also what real estate you should be looking at. You shouldn't be looking short term.
Meaning like staying in the house for
Meaning staying in the house for at least 3 to 5 years.
for the values to go up.
For everything to catch up.
How do you feel that interest rates really affect buyer behavior in Houston compared to other major cities, especially in like Texas?
Well, so Texas and Houston, comparatively nationally, we're still quite affordable for a little bit longer. I mean, that is changing very quickly. As someone who is from here, I have seen the change and I have been a part of that change and I love it. But interest rates are going to affect everything no matter what. They go down, it's going to bring more people off the sidelines. So I'm actually telling a lot of my buyers, you want to get in the spring. To avoid any kind of mad dash, if interest rates hit the 5s, people are going to feel like they won the lottery, and we're going to be back into bidding wars, people really fighting for those super desirable properties, paying more than maybe you want to pay. But because your buying power is significantly affected, if the interest rates go down, people will have that bandwidth to do that. But you've given up a little bit of your leverage by jumping into the pool when everybody else is in the pool. So my suggestion is get started a little bit earlier.
That's smart. So housing affordability is a major concern.
Absolutely.
Even though it is more affordable than other cities, but nonetheless.
It's still, yeah.
Nonetheless, what creative strategies are you helping your clients use to still win in this market?
I have a unique response to that. I am changing the market. I've decided as part of my growth in this business after over 20 years that we can solve the affordability crisis that we're all experiencing. And it's going to require people to start considering maybe we don't need to wait on the old guard, all of the existing developers to decide to prioritize affordable, sustainable housing. It's going to take smaller developers, more public-private partnerships. So I am putting that kind of option out there for people to model, to show we can actually fix this ourselves. Going into those emerging areas is a very big way to handle affordability issues because you're basically investing in the future potential. So strategically finding those communities that are in close proximity to the areas that you want to be in, that mimic the lifestyle that you want to have, that's one just low-hanging fruit. You can go and do that. Otherwise, get with your congressmen, get with your city council people, be the squeaky wheel and keep it top of mind because ultimately they're the ones that are limiting us. They don't let us change what type of housing we can put on the ground, duplexes, fourplexes, townhomes, smaller lots, things like that. I think that's probably the biggest issue is real estate as a whole is a very slow to change kind of industry. People just revert back to how we've always done things. So there's very little innovation in this space. People like myself are pushing that forward. We have new construction materials that we should be taking advantage of. I believe there's a new development coming up. It's the 3D printed development. So, people are really, really doing some interesting things to make housing affordability better. One thing I would suggest you don't do, maybe is get a 50-year mortgage. I don't think that's a good idea.
I will say those videos look really cool, the 3D printing. Have you seen them?
I have.
On social media?
I have. I've seen 3D printed communities in Houston and Austin. I've been researching this for several years. Elon built an entire community, or is in the process of building an entire community outside of Austin. They're more like containers. They're much nicer, much more aesthetically pleasing. I don't think they're actually that affordable, so I would be careful. I would warn people. Affordability can be something that gets hijacked a little bit when you start looking at, okay, it's 600 square feet and yeah, I can get it for 150,000, but to get a livable size property and you multiply that out and it's 900,000, that's not actually affordable.
Yeah.
But quality, we don't want cheap. We want real, good, quality, affordable housing, and it can be done.
I like the confidence.
It's going to be done.
I love it. I love it. For first-time home buyers that are feeling priced out, What realistic path do you usually recommend instead of waiting indefinitely?
Well, that, again, you're feeding right into everything that I'm doing. It has become a huge pet peeve of mine that we are still, most people's first introduction into home ownership or into real estate ownership is when they purchase their first home, whether it be a condo, a duplex, a mobile home, whatever. That's usually their first entry. We have got to change that. We have got to start making it where people can actually participate in real asset ownership way sooner so that they have the ability to ride that equity appreciation up until they actually can afford to buy their first home. And a sad statistic is people are not doing that until their 30s now. That is a long time of appreciation that people have lost out on. So my suggestion is find a way to participate earlier. They are out there. Follow me. You'll find out more tips and tricks on how to do it. Don't try to become a landlord or get into something that is going to take up too much of your time. There are lots of different, ideas that people have. Land flipping also might be something that's interesting, but you need guidance. Do not enter into anything related to real estate without proper guidance. Don't just join a webinar, sign up for a program, and then jump in with both feet and put all your savings into it. There are some very, very strategic things that you can do prior to purchasing your first home that still allows you to participate in real estate ownership. That would be my suggestion.
I love that. Now, I know we mentioned the 50-year loan.
Yes.
What other financial mistakes? And that's another thing. It's like sometimes you see just stuff on social media. And like you said, if you don't know enough about it, it's like, oh, well, that might sound nice.
And it's designed to sound nice. It's designed to pull you in because it's aspirational. Everybody wants to be able to own their space. There's something freeing about knowing that this is yours and that you've decided to put roots and build your family or make memories. All of those things are highly aspirational. So it kind of makes it easy to pull people in. As far as, like you said, financial institutions.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I hadn't finished. I distracted myself. What financial mistakes do you see buyers make when they focus only on monthly payments instead of long-term value?
Yes. So they both kind of go hand in hand because you have to be within your budget. You have to stay within your means because your monthly mortgage is not the only cost that's going to be associated with owning a home. I took the position when I got licensed in real estate that I was also going to get my insurance license. And so I've carried both of those licenses together so that I could properly guide my clients through this exact point. Your mortgage is one aspect, but then you need insurance to protect your home against any inclement issues or situations that may develop. You also now have that debt obligation. If it's you individually and something happened to you and you weren't able to go to work, now your mortgage is in jeopardy of not being paid, and now you're in jeopardy of losing the asset you just spent all these years to save up to get. So while you have your mortgage and your homeowner's insurance, you need to look at making sure that you have left enough room in your budget to acquire any other life insurance or financial services product to wrap around your asset to purposely protect it in case you cannot work or you no longer have the ability to cover those payments. You don't want to lose your asset over one life-changing situation.
I love that you have like that double protection that you're able to secure for your clients. So for homeowners right now that are sitting on equity but they're unsure about selling, what questions should they be asking themselves right now?
Honey, call me because let's tap into that. People, like I said, real estate is a big, broad umbrella, huge umbrella. And most of us are only thinking about our homes in a very linear way. I've got it, I live in it, I'll pay it off, I'll pass it to my kids. That's typically how most generations have thought about it. What we are sitting in right now is probably one of the steepest equity increases in our property values, especially if you're in Texas. Some other places may not have actually experienced that as much as we have, but we have been extremely fortunate because of all of the people coming and the demand that we have. What you should consider is how do you access the equity and how do you put that to work for you in a responsible way. Don't go tapping into your equity to go buy your Birkin, okay? There are plenty of things we can do with your equity to help you build and create your own lifetime bank for your family, to help you build your real estate portfolio, to create passive income. Like, you should be putting your asset to work for you like you would your stocks, your bonds, or anything else.
So basically talk to you to find out how.
Yes.
I have so many more questions. So let's talk about the new age of real estate and AI.
Okay.
AI is obviously, it's changing everything. How is it already impacting real estate behind the scenes?
It's doing some great things, to be honest. I mean, now I will say, and I mentioned this to you earlier, I'm about as pro-human as it gets. But AI is not going anywhere, and it has a role to play. I just feel like it should be enhancing our human experience and not making us redundant, right? Not putting us in a position where we're having to compete with technology. It should be enhancing what we already bring to the table that is uniquely human. And in real estate, it's really, really, really important because it's an emotional, in residential real estate, it's an emotional game. Making someone feel that space, they're going to be living there, put their own touches on it, it's theirs. However, the analysis, the locations, the financial aspects to it are going to be significantly enhanced through AI and its ability to pull data and to spit out reports and things like that. But you still need a human to interpret them. What difference does it make if you have a 6% gain in X, Y, and Z and a 4% loss in X, Y, and Z if you don't understand it? So you need someone who's going to interpret what that actually means for your life and what that means for your long-term plan. That part is really great. Streamlining our workflows to make us more available, to not get bogged down in some of the tedious admin works. AI can help with that. I love having access to data at my fingertips, kind of processing, comparative insights, things like that. Like, I can feed it a lot of different things and grab that insight, and then I can put it into my own words to communicate it to my audience and to my clients. I don't think it's going to actually ever take us out completely. But even more so than that, I think people should consider beyond just like your chat GPTs and all of that stuff. Data centers are going to be huge. And the more we utilize this tool, the more real estate those data centers are going to need to have and the natural resources of water that they are going to need to require to feed our need for AI. And now we're getting into resources that human beings need to live. So we're going to have to find a very good balance between our obsession with AI and technology and the natural resources that it's going to require in order to feed that.
Surprised you know a lot about this. So I just came from the Ashburn, Virginia area, which is the data warehouse center, I think, of like the country, or at least one of them. Beautiful area, but all you see are these big boxes everywhere. And we would have water crisis all the time. And one of the, we were, I'm not there anymore, richest counties in America, but yet we would have to be careful on how much water we were using.
Yep.
And that was the reason why. But all the tax dollars that brought in is why they allow them to continuously keep coming in.
And again, that comes back to very thoughtful, intentional planning for the long term. Water is not something we can afford to make a misstep on. Human beings need water. Animals need water. Agriculture needs water. How we feed ourselves. Like, we cannot eat AI. So we need to be very intentional about how we find that balance.
Totally agree. I was going to ask you how you personally use it, but I think you've already kind of answered that.
Yeah.
And then I was going to ask about how you balance the data automation, human intuition when advising clients on like major financial decisions. Like, yeah, I'll let you answer that.
Okay. So how I balance.
So how do you balance the data automation, like a lot of the AI stuff that you get, and then your own human intuition when advising clients on major financial decisions?
Absolutely. When you've been in this business long enough and I guess, well, because not everyone sees things the way that I do, but I truly feel now at this stage of my career, I can weigh, like, when major things happen, tariffs went into place, interest rates went up, the Fed decided not to cut interest rates. I can feel the shift that happens across the board. And 9 times out of 10, I'm on the front end of it because my clients are already calling me in advance. Oh, I saw so and so. This company's laying off these people. This is happening here. The interest rates are doing that. I'm getting all of this information from my interactions with my clients in the world, other business leaders, and all of those things together help shape consumer confidence. It's very difficult for data to tell you what human confidence is, what consumer confidence is, because that ultimately is the driving force of whether or not we're going to have a strong housing market, whether or not, because you don't know what is impacting people's decision making. That's where a lot of my human intuition kind of comes in helping my clients understand. For example, one of my clients called me a couple months ago, and I think it was right around tariff time. Yeah. And he was saying, well, I'm not selling my house for a year, but can you predict for me what I could get for my house if X, Y, and Z happened? And my answer to him was, I cannot, but let me explain it to you this way. If we keep having layoffs and if decisions keep being made that make building homes more expensive or buying homes more expensive, that is going to drive down consumer confidence. That is going to negatively affect how much we can get for your house. If any of those conditions change, it will affect you positively. By how much, I cannot tell you. But these are the contributing factors. This is what I feel like the human intuition and understanding and having seen enough market cycles to be able to articulate that to my clients and how it affects them individually.
And that can change at the drop of a dime.
Yes, it can.
And it can even change for different communities.
Absolutely.
Clients,
Absolutely.
demographics. So.
Absolutely.
When clients choose to work with you, what do you think they value most about your approach?
I am extremely personable. Everything is on the table. So do not ever feel like you can't ask any questions about anything. I am very knowledgeable and I'm kind of no nonsense. So I'm going to shoot you straight. You know that your priorities are the only priorities being taken into consideration. I pride myself on my clients knowing when they close, they are fully confident in their understanding, even if it's their first purchase or it's their 10th purchase. They know that their goals, their needs, their desires have all been considered, and they feel 100% confident in this is the right choice for them. Yeah, I would say, and I'm kind of fun to work with.
I like that. Advocacy.
Yes.
What does advocacy actually look like when you're negotiating for a buyer or a seller?
Advocacy probably takes the shape of, I don't know if I would use the word advocacy, because I'm not really advocating for them in a sense. I am absolutely positioning them to be the most attractive in any scenario. When you're in a seller position, it's different, right? A seller wants what they want for their house. We want to get the highest, best value, the quickest with the best terms and all of those kinds of things. So in that sense, it's really guiding them. We need to make sure your house looks perfect. I don't want to see a burnout light bulb. I want your yard cut. I want it to look meticulously maintained and be meticulously maintained, because that's the only way you get the highest and best value you want. When you're a buyer, it is going to be more on the side of, let's make sure that you've gotten your finances in place so that we can present the strongest offer. What are the kind of terms that we can do? Are there other buyers that we're competing against? We need to take that into consideration so that we put our offer forward in the best light that's going to be most attractive to a seller.
Yeah, no, I love that. What's something, especially because you're somebody who's like noticing the trends and kind of the shift, and you're using your human intuition to feel through all of this. But what do you think the next generation of buyers are going to care about most that previous generations didn't care about?
Sustainability. It doesn't do any good to own a home if you're worried about epic floods or droughts or the cost of energy even, which we're starting to see go up now due to all the data centers coming online and the strain that puts on the grid. Consumers are going to be bearing the brunt of that, further making home ownership unobtainable if you can't afford to keep the lights on. So smaller footprints, community-based living. So not just people, and Houston does a terrible job of this, to be honest. It's one of those things that I want to change because we don't have zoning. You can just kind of buy a lot, throw up 4 houses. It doesn't have to fit in with the neighborhood around it. It doesn't really have to be constructed in a way that fosters community engagement and things like that. I think people want that. You know, people want a little bit of hearkening back to that 1950s kind of lived environment where you know your neighbors, you see people out walking their dogs, and, you know, you feel a part of the buzz of your community. Smaller footprints, just less overhead. I want to own it, but I don't need 6 bedrooms and 5,000 square feet in a massive yard. They don't want to be slaves to their homes. They want to have a nice, safe, comfortable place that they can afford, that they can own. I do think sustainability is going to be something, good air quality, you know, so air purification, solar, rain capture, things like that. I believe the next generation will be putting a lot of emphasis on those if the product is available for them, if they have the choice. Right now, they don't have the choice, but that's because people haven't been making it a priority, which is why I'm going to change it.
I love that. I have a last question. Before I get to that, you and I on the phone, we talked. Mm-hmm. Do you want to talk about your new launch for the project?
Yeah.
I'd love to just dive in a little bit into that.
Sure. So I am very excited about this. I am one of those people that I learn a lot from others, right? I learn a lot from the world around me. I don't like making mistakes. But I also, when I see something that is broken, it drives me crazy to continue to operate within a broken cycle. So for the last 20 years or so, I've been gathering my data. I've been gathering and seeing and observing this industry that I absolutely love that has allowed me to do more than I ever thought I could do in my life. And from all of that, we're calling it Hestia right now, but we will be changing the name because, well, founder journeys, nothing ever goes straight. But it will be great. The framework, though, is the same. Essentially, we are creating the new age of real estate investing, or real asset investing, because real estate is just one. Dirt is actually a real asset. Office buildings, strip centers, industrial parks, houses, like they're all real assets. So we are basically creating a framework that allows more people to access institutional grade investment opportunities in real time. And I want it to be able to be accessible through all socioeconomic levels. My son is one of the main reasons why I have really spent a lot of time over the last 2 years thinking about it. He's 26, and he came to me one day, it's like, Mom, I'm never going to be able to buy a house. And that broke my heart, because that is how you actually build wealth for yourself. That's how you build financial independence, is your ability to acquire certain things that are going to go up and can work for you without you literally having to work in it every single day. And it made me really sit back and think, like, how am I going to do this? I don't want to be in a position that I go buy him a house. I want him to have that kind of sense of pride for himself that he did it. But at the time, the new iPhone was going to be coming out. And I said, well, how much is that iPhone? And he said, I don't know, it's like $1,700 or something. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I started doing some quick calculations, and I said, you know, if you gave me that money, and even if it is on a smaller percentage, and I could put that into an asset for you and let that amount just grow over time, and you don't have to do anything, and you can get your little dividends, and then when we change the asset over, you get a payout. So maybe that $1,700 turns into $5,000. That's huge, but it's something people can do, and it starts, and it's rooted in something tangible. So that is how Hestia was born. Also on the back of the last several election cycles, seeing how much money went into our political system And I don't know, maybe some of you got what you wanted out of it, some of you didn't, but where did the money go? And for the massive amount of us, are we actually seeing the changes that we want? So if I create this system where people can actually put their money there and guarantee that we are going to build homes that people can afford, places where people can have community, now we're solving our own problems. So that's really what this is about, democratizing real estate and real estate investing for everyday people.
So when are you running for office?
I've had that question many times, and it's kind of interesting because I don't have any aspirations for office. I feel like at that stage, I lose my ability to actually affect the change that I want.
Isn't that funny you say that, though, since that should be the opposite reason of why you...
Yeah, it should be, but unfortunately, that's like the crazy upside down world we live in right now. And like I said, I've had lots of people approach me about that. Even if I were, it would be after I've done my work. I want to show people we can fix our own problems. You have more power than you realize. It's going to take all of us deciding that we want to, but we do have the capabilities within ourselves to do it. We don't need government. Government has a role to play, but we actually can facilitate a lot more than we realize.
I think it's beautiful that it started with your son, but now it can lead to serving hundreds
More
of thousands,
people.
millions of people in the future.
Yeah. And that's kind of where I'm at in my career. I realized how much I love my clients, and I have seen what home ownership, when done correctly, how it impacts people's lives. My biggest claim to fame, almost 75% of my clients either got married or had kids pretty quickly after we got their home purchase. I'd like to say I had a hand in that, because creating that environment for them to feel like they are stable enough to grow their lives and move forward in their lives gives me all the joy in the world. And I wanted to do that for more people. But I'm only one person, so I can't do millions and millions of transactions. But in this way, with this new framework that I've built, now I actually can.
I love that. You've systematized the whole process.
Working on it.
Awesome. My last question is, okay, if a future client watches this conversation a year from now, what's the one thing you hope that they feel more confident about after hearing you speak?
Let's see. The agent you pick matters. Expertise matters. Having someone that has seen cycles, is getting better at honing their skills of seeing around corners to keep you from getting into situations that don't work for you, that there's reason to be hopeful. Not everything is lost, and that there are people really, really working hard to make sure that you can reach your dreams and goals.
After interviewing or having conversations with hundreds of agents over the past few years, your conversation is very, very interesting and very special, because I can really feel the heart behind what you do and why you do it. So that's so beautiful.
Thank you.
Anything else you'd like to add before we wrap it up?
Come to Houston. Come to Texas. There's so much. There's so much. And we would love to have you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for being on the show.